Hello and welcome to World of Tanks with me, Merrimer. Today I'm looking at the Oni. I'm going to be going a bit into the statistics of the tank, how I think it plays, pretty much a review of it, but at the same time I'm going to be commentating on the Ace Tanker game that I had. The main reason that I'm going to be giving a review of it as well as watching the video is because it's so god-awfully slow. I think out of everything wrong with the Oni, the speed of it is the worst. But equally, I think it's got a lot of attributes that make it somewhat acceptable. I mean, generally, when you've got things like the Churchill, it's very, very slow, but it's also got the armor, so you can't really complain. The Oni, on the other hand, has got a huge amount of hit points. I think it's the most of all the Tier 7 tanks. So much so that basically, if you're battling against Tier 9 tank destroyers, you can generally take a few hits from them. And that's not something that I'd say 90% of Tier 7 tanks can say. So we start off going into the city. Obviously, I'm a heavy tank, I'm a slow heavy tank, and going up the valley would have been stupid because you would never have gotten the chance to use the armor. So, Skoda has already suicided, but, you know, that's typical of fast tanks. Just want to quickly mention, I've also got XVM installed. That's because I had that absolutely terrible run of luck, and I use XVM as a pick-me-up. If we've got a really good team and we lose, I congratulate the enemy. If we've got a really bad team and we lose, then, you know, I kind of expected it anyway, so it's no big problem. On the other hand, some people look at it negatively, but I try not to. So the Oni, as you can see, it's taken us a good 2 minutes to get into the town, so speed is not a good aspect. The good aspects of the tank are definitely the armor. You can bounce pretty much everything off the front. The sides and rear, not so much. The rear, surprisingly, is better than the sides for armor, but I wouldn't advise you go around backwards in it. The gun is, I don't know. Some people say it's overpowered. I think it's spot on. Penetration's nice. Accuracy, not the best, but you do 300 damage, so it's not too fussy. Now here, there's a Cheeto trying to get out of the way. You know, I'm too slow. I can't get out of his way, so I just keep going forwards. He drives off, and he's gonna get killed in a second, fighting the T-29. So he goes down. And I drive forwards, and unfortunately I angle my armor too much to the ARL at this point. You can note the ARL bounces. I aim for him, switch target to the T-29, but I'm giving much too much of my side in that angle, so the T-29 was able to put a shell through really easily. Now, 10-second reload isn't too bad for 300 damage, but it is still a bit slow, so one of the things you see that I do is I fire, and then I fall back. I try and make sure that I've got at least one of my sides covered at all times, so that my front can take the hits and bounce them, and I can hide one of my sides as I angle it. See, I bounced that shot off the T-29 there. It's because the angling was correct. So that poor ARL-44 stock is just miserable to play. Again, angled way too far over, so the T-29 was able to put an easy shell in. I fire on the move because I don't want to stop. The A-44 needs my assistance. Bounce another shell in return from the T-29. Put one into him. It's at this point we're losing 4-1. The Valley is doing pretty poorly at this point. They've lost a lot of tanks. T-29 moves into cover. Now, at first I thought that he was going to try and go for the A-44, but I noticed the Su-100, and he can put shells into me, so I take him out as fast as possible. Now, at this point I realise the T-29 can't actually get round to the A-44. The 88 is unable to put shells into me, and the KV-13 and the T-25 are not available to put shells into me. I angle my armour and put a shell through the wall into the T-29 and bounce his returning shot. I wait to reload, moving backwards and forwards, not because it's going to bounce shells, but because I don't want anyone to get a fixed lock onto any of my weak spots. So T-29 goes down. Next, I start to flank round. What I'm hoping to do is to kill the KV-13. I notice the 88 has got side to me, so I turn and send him back to garage. I then turn again, and I start going towards KV-13, change my mind because I'm not fast enough, and I start to go down all the way through the main road to try and get to the T-25. I do this because the tank is slow, and if you can keep the tank on hard ground, you'll get more speed. Miraculous that that shot hit. Very, very lucky, but that's probably just the matchmaker finally feeling sorry for me. Donked that shot massively. I should have been aiming much further back into the very, very side of the tank. But he comes round for another go, and I send him back to the garage. Now we can see that the TOG is, for some reason, sat there. He was probably trying to use the gun to snipe, which, you know, it's not a bad idea, but he probably could have done more in the city. And so I just let the gun go to work. The rate of fire is not particularly good, but the alpha damage is quite good, so each one of these shells is doing, on average, 300 damage. I've also got higher penetration than the TOG-2, which is saying something. I mean, the TOG-2's got okay penetration at tier 6. Tier 7 it's good enough. To put it into context, the premium tier 7 tank destroyer for the British has got the same gun as it, so there's that. Now the Oni on our team is the only tank left now in the valley, and he has done absolutely fabulously. He has just had an absolute stormer of a game. I think he's taken out 3 or 4 enemy tanks. He really has just done amazingly. Tiger takes out our AMX ELC, but yeah, he was a tier 5 scout tank, and you know, there's not much you can really say. So our T-25 goes into the cap, and I can see why. His logic behind this is that he doesn't want to fight a full health Tiger when he's not got full health, and that's fair enough. So he starts capping. It's always important as well that many people will go for the aspect of don't cap, kill all. I never agree with that. I think capping and winning is always better than losing. However, at this point, there is no way on this planet we can cap with that Tiger there. Instead, we have to kill him. There is just no other opportunity. He has to die so we can cap. Again, not interested in hanging around and letting him put shells into me. More interested in killing him. I'm looking behind me to see if the AT is going to come over the hill and help me. Managed to get a shell into him. Now you'll notice that here I'm moving backwards and forwards. That's to try and ram and damage the Tiger, which I do eventually do for 18 damage. Finally kill him for a top gun. Now that, although it may have not seemed like it, was an ace tanker in the Oni. I got 6 kills and did nearly 4,000 points of damage. So that's the general way in which you can use the Japanese heavy tanks. Finally, I just want to make one quick notice about them. Everyone always says that the Japanese heavy tanks are overpowered and need nerfing, and I couldn't disagree more. They have definitely got a lot of armor, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. Their speed is very, very low, but also look at the size of the Oni as compared to the Tiger. I'm having to aim my gun down in order to shoot at him. What this generally means is that if you're in any tank, if you can get round the side of the Oni, or the OI, or any other Japanese tanks, generally they can't get their gun down low enough to shoot at you. And that is a major flaw with the design of the Japanese heavy tanks. So if you're looking to kill them, that's the way in which you do it. If you're in an OI and that's happening to you, if you simply push them onto a building and force them away from your side, you should be able to shoot at them. But I hope that went to stop a few of the constant rage of the Japanese heavy tanks are overpowered, and I hope it showed you a little bit of how to use them. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked, please leave a like and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you on the battlefield.